Hello and welcome to Scotia Historic Walks. This time we're on the west side of Edinburgh and we're exploring the area around Cramond and the River Almond, an area steeped in history dating as far back as the Mesolithic era. Our walk today begins in Davison Mains and we will follow the route as shown on your screen. This route will take us down to the shorefront in Cramond, where we will then follow the river up to the historic Cramond Brig. From there, we will circle back and make our way to the starting point in Davison Mains. This route is about 8.5 kilometres and will take around 2.5 hours to complete. I would rate this route between easy and moderate, as it's mostly flat, although there are some steps. We begin our journey in Davidson's Mains. A mains is Lowland Scots for a farm estate or home farm. The original village, once called Muttonhole, was later engulfed by the city after the city boundary was changed in 1920. Now a bustling area with many shops, cafes and local transport links, it's a great place to start today's walk. As we make our way towards the coast, it doesn't take long for the small city streets to open up into wide panoramic views across the countryside. On a clear day like today, you can see right over the Firth of Forth to the Kingdom of Fife and beyond. Along the Cramond Promenade, there are plenty of places to sit, as well as a cafe, so you can grab a coffee, take a seat and enjoy the view. In the distance, you can see Cramond Island, a tidal island about 1.6 kilometres out to sea. It's believed that the Romans first constructed a defence on the island for their harbour in Cramond. It was also used to defend the Firth of Forth during both the First and Second World Wars, with most of the defensive structures built during the Second World War still remaining today, including the distinctive concrete pylons constructed as a submarine defence boom. The island can be visited at low tide, but tidal information should always be checked before deciding to make the trip. This information can be found online and on notice boards along the promenade. As we've arrived at the shorefront during low tide, it's a great opportunity to get a walk on the sand and really make the most of that fresh sea air. We've now reached the Esplanade, which lies at the mouth of the River Almond. This area has particular historical significance, as there is evidence of human occupation dating as far back as 8500 BC, where Mesolithic hunter-gatherers first camped here just behind these cottages. It's also been used as an important harbour, bringing in goods and supplies during the Roman occupation of Cramond between the years 142 and 212 AD. Nowadays, it's a peaceful fishing village, where you can grab a well-earned bite to eat or a hot drink. There is no shortage of wildlife either, with heron, kingfisher, ducks and swans often spotted along the banks of the river. In 1977, just at the base of this wall, a carved stone lioness was found by a local ferryman, which turned out to be one of the most important Roman archaeological discoveries in Britain. The sculpture is a crouching lioness, biting down on a man's head as if to devour him. Sculptures of a carnivore eating its prey like this were common throughout the Roman Empire as funerary monuments. They symbolise the power of death over the living and sat on the tomb or its enclosing wall. The man was probably a captive barbarian, symbolising further victory for the Romans in Scotland. Some believe the sculpture was lost overboard during unloading, others think it was deliberately dumped in the river, perhaps when the Romans abandoned Cramond, or by native tribesmen, destroying this symbol of Roman occupation. The banks of the Almond are littered with what's left of the many mills and forges that once operated here. Perhaps the most recognised are the ruined walls of Fairafar Mill. These walls are all that's left of the mill. From 1770, Fair Fire was at the heart of Cramond's Industrial Revolution. Ships from Russia and Sweden brought iron to Cockle Mill, just downstream, where it was refined and cut into strips. Here at Fair Fire, the iron strips were worked into tools, chains and cart axles. The Industrial Revolution didn't last long at Cramond. The river was prone to flash floods that damaged machinery, and the company that ran the mills was poorly managed. By the mid-1800s, the Cramond mills had been overtaken by the larger, more modern ironworks at Carron, near Falkirk. I plan to visit Carron Works on a future walk, so make sure you join me. Here, we've reached the Cramond Brig, an important river crossing since around 1488. Brig simply being Scottish slang for bridge. The bridge we see today has been partially reconstructed in 1616 due to partial collapse. We didn't look at the bridge in too much detail today, as I'm planning to feature that in an upcoming walk. From here, we make our way through the leafy suburbs of Barnton towards Davison Mains Park. Our final stop before our much needed coffee is Davison Mains Park. This park was once part of the large estate that surrounded Barnton House. The original house was demolished in 1812. In 1894, the Barnton Branch Railway ran from Craigleith Junction to Cramond Brig, stopping at Barnton Gate Station. The railway passed through a cutting that defined the northern boundary of the park. The entrance to the nearby Royal High School passes through part of that cutting. We're finally back to where we started, in Davison Mains. I just want to thank you so much for joining me on this walk today and learning all about the rich history that Cramond and the River Almond has to offer, but there's so much more to learn. So please feel free to go out and have your own adventure and let me know what you find. But I do hope to see you next time for our next walk.